Alright, welcome to Accelerated Math. Find compositions of two functions. Compositions. To compose something means to put some stuff together, and that's basically what we're going to do here. Is we're going to put some stuff together, more specifically some functions together. We're going to put some functions together and look at the notation here. Now earlier you might have done not composition of functions, but add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions, and you may remember or recall seeing something like this: g times f of x, okay, and that meant g of x times f of x, and that was foiling. Okay, this is going to be a little bit different, and let me show you how. Okay, so the symbol, first of all, it looks a little bit like it, but that's an open circle, and it means g composed of, that's what that symbol means, composed of the function of f. Okay, so g composed of f. G composed of f. So we're going to start with g, and we're going to plug in f into the function. If I had given you this function and I said, give me g of 10, what would you have done with 10? You would have plugged it in to x in the function. But instead of saying g of 10, we're not going to say that. We're going to say g of f of x. This is, by the way, another way of writing that. G of f of x. You'll see both of those. G of f of x. So instead of plugging in 10, we're going to plug in f of x in for x. Let's see how that pans out in this. Okay, so we're going to start with g of x. So negative 4 plus 5x. But when you write it, negative 4 plus 5, instead of putting x there, that's where you would plug in 10 or g of whatever it's asking for, but it's asking for g of f. So we're going to take f, which happens to be x cubed, and put it right in there for the x value. So it's really, guys, it's just substitution, just putting the x cubed, or the function of f, in for the x in g of x. It just sounds confusing. Alright, negative 4 plus 5, and that x cubed has no reason to have parentheses around it because there's nothing else being done in there. That's your answer. Confusing. Strange looking, but not the end of the world. Now I want to show you here again is that same familiar format now that you're seeing. This is g composed of f, but not of x, of 3. Let's watch and see how we do this. By the way, I wanted to just show this up here. It's the same as saying g of f of x, or in this case g of f of 3. Alright, so let's just focus on the g of f of x first, starting with g. So whatever's first in here, that's supposed to be an arrow, whatever's first in there, that's what we're going to start with. So we're going x squared plus 5. But instead of having an x, that's where we're going to plug in f of x, because it said g composed of f of 3 in this case. So g of f of x. And so we're going to go x squared, but where we have the x squared now, we're going to plug in f of x. So we got x plus 2 over x in parentheses squared, because that's what it was squared, plus 5. And we are going to take this 3 now and plug it in for x. We're going to plug that in for x. So we've got 3 plus 2 over 3 squared plus 5. And then we're going to simplify. 3 plus 2, of course, is 5. So it's 5 over 3 squared plus 5. And so this comes down to 25 over 9 plus 5. And to really combine those, I need to convert 5 into ninths. So I multiply both, so it's 45 ninths. That's the same as 5 over 1. And then I can combine those for a grand total of 70 over 9, I believe, is the answer. And that's what you might see in the multiple choice, 70 over 9, or you might have to simplify that. 9 goes into 70, you know how many ever times, and whatever's left over. Alright, now, let's see. I wanted to show f of g of x because I've been talking about g of f of x, but it can be written the other way, and it just means to insert it, start with the function f. So you're starting with whatever function letter's out here, and then putting in or plugging in whatever comes next. By the way, here's the alternate way of writing it: f of g of x, f composed of g of x, f of g of x. Those are the same. Okay, it's not this though. What was that one? That was multiplication. That's where you're going to use FOIL. So it's not this. Let's cross that one out. Alright, So we got f composed of g of x. So we're going to start with the function f, x cubed, but where the x is, that's where we're going to put g of x, and there's g of x, so we're just going to place that in place of the x, 3 plus 7x squared. And if you really had to work this out, you would have to multiply this by itself 3 times, but look at the answers. There it is. Okay. If it were the other way around, if it was g of f of x, then if it were like that, then you would have had to start with the g function, negative 3 plus 7, and where the x was, you would have to plug in the function f. You would have put this in here, negative 3 plus 7. These exponents get multiplied. It would have been 7 to the 6th power. That would have been the answer. By the way, you notice that it is up here to try to trick you, but you got to watch out for the order. So it's not that one in this case, and it is specifically this one, only because f came before the g. If it had been written the other way, then it would have been that one. All right, and that's it. Have fun with it.